Spooky gang, what it do? I hope y'all having a blessed day. Today we talking about horror franchises and when they should have ended, so let's get to it. Welcome back to Terror of Tech. So y'all know when y'all been watching horror movies and their franchises, and there's like a distinct turn in their movies and or the characters, and where the franchise starts to fall on its face, and then they start wilding. You start getting movies like Jason in Manhattan and in space and shit like that. So yeah, this is a new video series to look at horror franchises and see when they should have ended. First up, we got the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So when you think of the original was a banger. Then you have Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. That's also low-key a banger as well. It's not one of the most popular in this franchise in a lot of people's eyes, but genuinely when you look at it, it is a solid sequel. They went in a slightly different direction. Yeah, the movie was a little different, but ultimately I think it's a really good movie. And so then Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors comes around, and then they dropped another banger in most people's eyes. When you ask most people about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise and which movie is their favorite, most times they're going to say that it's Dream Warriors. There's so many likable characters in Dream Warriors. So you got Kincaid and Joey and, just everybody, and Kristen, and then you bring back Nancy. So then you just have so many likable characters. Then Freddy, for the people who like Freddy and all of the talking that he does and all of the one-liners, this movie is probably him at his peak. You already know one of his best one-liners is "Fuck the prime time, bitch!" So boom, so you have Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, and 3 that are very successful and pretty well liked. Then you move into Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, and just pretty much everything from there, for the most part, kind of went downhill. A lot of it, like, Freddy became too cheesy, too corny, this, that, and the other, so... And it's sad because, a movie that came out a little later, after 4 and 5, which is Wes Craven's New Nightmare, that movie actually is really good, and it brings you more back to the feel of, the first one and maybe a little bit of the second one, because the second one is kind of dark as well. But it brings you back to more of that type of feel, so it sucks if Wes Craven's New Nightmare could have been within the first 3, that could have been before Dream Warriors or right after Dream Warriors, then everything would have been perfectly fine. But considering that's the case, I think the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise should have ended at Part 3, because the majority of everything that you got after that, especially Freddy's dead, it's trash, so no, that's definitely not it. So the franchise should have ended at 3. Next up is the Paranormal Activity franchise. So with the Paranormal Activity franchise, when it first released, it was something that really felt fresh to the horror genre. Now, yes, of course, we had found footage type films and things of that nature, but this felt different because it just had like really getting home footage, like realistic footage. Just to a lot of people watching it for the first time, it actually was really scary. And then you have Paranormal Activity 2, which was good as well. Then you move on to 3. The thing that I liked about 3 is the whole Paranormal Activity story follows essentially Katie. Katie was in the first one and the second one, and now with this third one, we get to see Katie and Christy both when they were younger, and get a little more of a backstory on how they're haunting since their childhood and how we even got to the events of Paranormal Activity 1 and 2. So Paranormal Activity 3 is a banger too. Really good movie, really good follow-up sequel for it to be a part 3. And then you get Paranormal Activity 4, and then it just... Paranormal Activity 4 just really wasn't hitting like that. And then you have Paranormal Activity, the Mark ones, which I think is actually pretty decent. But then you have the Ghost Dimension and all those other movies, man. It's not it pretty much after Part 3. So I would say the Paranormal Activity franchise for sure should have ended after Part 3. Next up, we got Sleepaway Camp. So with the Sleepaway Camp franchise, if you haven't seen the Sleepaway Camp franchise, I 100% recommend it, especially if you're into slashers. I like to think of Sleepaway Camp very similar to Friday the 13th in a way, but the thing that I like about Sleepaway Camp that is different from a movie like Friday the 13th is this time you actually have kids at camp, and a lot of the story is focused around kids at camp. It's not, just some guy killing camp counselors or anything like that. And plus, also what makes it different is it is a girl that is killing everybody at the camp. So you just think about a movie that's just a fun, great time. you have Sleepaway Camp. So with Sleepaway Camp 2, they just give you even more of what you already liked from the first Sleepaway Camp. And then Sleepaway Camp 3, they give you just like even more absurd, wild scenes and crazy kills and stuff like that. Sleepaway Camp 3. And so really anything after that, so like that, the fourth one that they dropped wasn't it. It's not even worth your time. The first three are like a dang near perfect trilogy. They go very well together. Very great summertime movies to watch for sure. But yeah, that fourth one just was not it. So yeah, no, you can definitely stop this series at 3. Now the last franchise that I want to mention is the Pet Sematary franchise. This franchise could have ended at the very first movie. I can go ahead and just put that out there for y'all. Yeah, y'all don't even gotta listen to nothing else I say after this. But just know that Pet Sematary 2 and the remake and the sequel to the remake and all that, no, just it's absolute mess. There's not really too much to see there. The original Pet Sematary is a story by Stephen King, and personally I think it's one of my favorite 80s movies. It's a really creative story. Love little Gage, and that boy got crushed by that truck. But no, like overall I think that it's just a really good movie, and the sequels really couldn't even touch it. And then one thing to mention, and it's one of the most creepy characters or things in all of horror, which is Zelda, who is Rachel's sister. Nah, I don't fool with Zelda. Nah, I like even to this day when I see that, I'm just like, ugh.
I know, she died, spinal meningitis.
She was in the back bedroom like a dirty secret. She started to.
Definitely not it. But nah, Pet Sematary for sure definitely could have stayed at 1 and just left that as it was. So with the movies that I listed, Nightmare on Elm Street, Paranormal Activity, Sleepaway Camp, and Pet Sematary, the majority of them made it to about 3 movies before the franchise should have ended, because you know, like the third movie usually likes to try to bring back elements from the first movie, so that's why usually the third one is pretty good in the franchise. But usually after about that part 3, it's not hitting no more. But I definitely can't wait to bring you guys a part 2 and more. Comment down below where you think these horror franchises should have ended, and I'll see y'all next time. Stay spooky.